guys, welcome back to Elizabeth Ann Reads. I'm Anne. Today I'm doing my September TBR. I haven't done TBRs much this year. It just doesn't work real well for me, but in general, this year just hasn't been a great reading year for me. It's been a little slumpy. I've been just having trouble finding things that I'm really enjoying. But that's okay. But basically all the readathons are happening in September, and I want to join in on all of them. Not all of them, but several of them. So I figured I would put together a TBR and do the best I can. So the different things I'm going to be participating in are the Fall Into Reading Challenge. This is hosted by Tia over at Tia and All the Books, as well as some other ladies. I will link all this information about all these down in the description box below. Series September, which is hosted by Krista over at Books and Jams and Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand. Again, information linked below. And the Magical Readathon, hosted by G over at Book Roast. That used to be like a Harry Potter themed readathon. It's no longer Harry Potter themed, but the same idea is still kind of there. So I want to participate in that one. It's her first of this kind of new version of it. So I want to participate in that for sure. Also, Kaylee over at Luminous Libros is doing a 30 books in 30 days challenge, which I really wanted to participate in, but I think is somewhat unrealistic. If you've missed my last couple videos, I'm actually getting ready to move. I'll be moving the first weekend in October. So obviously some prep stuff is happening in September. So yeah, 30 books in 30 days is probably not realistic, but shout out to Kaylee, and I'll link her information down below as well. Okay, so we're going to start with the Magical Readathon. G has created kind of this whole new world and this whole new idea and different races and different things. And this is kind of like a preparatory readathon for the more kind of extensive one that'll happen next year. So for this readathon, there are 7 prompts. You do not have to complete them all. She said you only have to complete 2, but I'm a completionist and want to complete all 7. So I have books picked out for all 7 of those prompts. First prompt is to read a book with a map. And for that, I'm going to read The Reader by Tracy Chee. This is book 1 in a trilogy, and I really don't know anything about it. It's YA. I'm not sure if it's like a dystopian or just straight up fantasy, but it has this beautiful map at the beginning. This will also work for Series September since it is the first in a trilogy. The second prompt is to read a book that keeps tempting you, or one that's on the top of your TBR. For that, I'm going to read The Sugar Queen by Sarah Addison Allen. I've picked this one up so many times over the summer and just keep not getting to it. So I definitely want to get to it. Sarah Addison Allen writes magical realism. So it's romance, but more oriented around like family and community with some tiny little magical elements to it. I don't know what the premise of this one is. But it's called The Sugar Queen, so it probably has something to do with food, is my guess. But also, this orange cover, nice fall vibes. That's one of the prompts on the Fall Into Reading Challenge, is an orange cover, so this works well for that too. Prompt number 3 for the Magical Readathon is to read a book that's a standalone, and for that I'm going to read Britt Marie Was Here by Frederick Bachman. This is one of the few Frederick Bachman that I have not read. I think it's the only one that I haven't read that I'm actually interested in reading. This is also going to count for Chantel at An Intentional Life does a Read Your Bookshelf challenge, and I believe her prompt for September is to read a book in translation, and this is a book in translation, so it's also going to double for that. I don't know what this really is about other than it's about the character Britt Marie. Britt Marie does appear in one of his other books, but I'm still going to count this as a standalone because it's her story versus her being just kind of the background character. Prompt 4 is to read a book featuring ghosts or haunted houses or some sort of supernatural element. For that, I have a middle grade, The Ghost of Goswater. I've read other books by Lucy Strange and really enjoyed them. This is historical fiction set in the Lake District in 1899 and has to do with a ghost and a haunted house. So it feels, perfect. Also, this cover. Her covers are always beautiful. That's why I picked up one of her books a few years back, was just because of the cover. Alright, prompt 5 is to read a mystery or a thriller, and for that I'm going to be reading Dreaming Spies by Laurie R. King. This is part of the Mary Russell series. This is book like 12 or 13. So this also works for Series September. The Mary Russell series follows Mary Russell, who is a kind of an apprentice to Sherlock Holmes. And this is much later in the series, so I'm not going to give you any more information than that. But it's a really fun historical mystery series. Next prompt is to read a 5-star prediction. I do not do 5-star predictions. I don't enjoy it. I think it puts too much pressure on the book. Like, it almost sets the book up to fail in my mind, because I'm pretty stingy with my 5 stars. So I just picked out a book that I think I really am going to enjoy. And I picked out What the Night Sings by Vesper Stamper. This is I think it's supposed to be YA, but it's also illustrated. It's not graphic. It's not like a graphic novel, but it just has these beautiful illustrations throughout it. It has something to do with World War II and music. Look at these. So I'm looking forward to trying this one. I think I'll really enjoy it. And the last prompt for the Magical Readathon is to read a book with a school setting. I'm going to do a reread for that one, actually, and this is 16 and Away from Home by Arletta Richardson. This is part of the Grandma's Attic series, which I grew up reading all the time, and I wanted to reread the series this summer. I just didn't get around to it. But this is the book, I think it's book 5 in the series, and it is when she's 16 and she and her best friend go off to high school to study to become teachers. And this is the one in the series I really wanted to reread, so I don't know. It's super short. It'll be a super quick read, so I decided I'd just toss that on the stack for something fun. Oh, and that technically would also count for series September, since it's right in the middle, but I don't know. I'm not reading the whole series, so it kind of doesn't count. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see about that. So let's talk about series September. I've already mentioned this one, and this one, and The Reader. So these 3 books that I'm using for the Magical Readathon also count for series September. I have a few other series to mention that I'm hoping to at least work on this month. First of all, I'm going to mention the Mary Russell series again. I have 4 books left in that series after Dreaming Spies, which is the one I already mentioned. So technically 5 books, I guess. I had been hoping to finish the series before I moved, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I'd like to get at least 1 or 2 more read in the series, so I only have to take a couple with me. But we'll see. We'll see if I can get to at least 2 of this series. And then I have a few other things, and we'll just kind of see what I get to. First up is The Singing Tree by Kate Sarity. This was written in 1939. It is the sequel to The Good Master, which I read, I think, for middle grade March last year, 2020. And it's a Newbery Honor book. I think Good Master was a Newbery winner, or an honor, at least an honor, if not the winner. But this follows a family in Hungary. So it just kind of deals with that culture and, you know, the way they do things and the way they celebrate holidays, and just really interesting, just kind of family story, but set in a different country. So I'd like to finish up that one. I also have Terry Pratchett's Sorcery. This is book 5 in the Discworld series. It's been a while since I've picked up a Discworld book, so I figured now's a good time. I've been slowly reading through the series, very slowly. But yeah, some Terry Pratchett might be a good fit for the month. I have Moon Over Soho by Ben Aranovich. This is the sequel to Rivers of London. There's a whole series after it. This is urban fantasy. I didn't love Rivers of London. I liked it. I liked it enough to try another book in the series, and then we'll go from there. So like I said, this is book 2. And yeah, I don't know if I'm going to get to this one or not, but we're putting it on the stack just in case. I have Peter Nimble and His Fantastic Eyes by Jonathan Auxier. This is the first in a duology. I have the second one too. I'd love to get to both of them, but we'll see what happens. This is a middle grade fantasy. And then I have Watch Hollow, The Alchemist's Shadow by Gregory Finaro. This is the sequel to Watch Hollow, which again I read last year in 2020. And it's kind of it verges on horror, but doesn't go real dark. So it's just like a hint of horror in there. It's about this family, this father and his 2 kids, who end up going to this manor house to fix a clock. The dad works with clocks. And then kind of these mysteries start happening at the house. This is the sequel, so I don't know what this one entails, but it's just a duology, so I would like to go ahead and read this one and finish up that duology. So those are some other books I have set aside for series September. We'll see how many of those I get to. And then the last thing is the Fall Into Reading Challenge. And that's kind of my lowest priority, not because it's least important, but because I have 3 months to complete it. Magical Readathon and series September are just for September, and the Fall Into Reading Challenge runs September through November. So the books I read in September, I will fit into the Fall Into Reading Challenge, but I don't I'm not going to be picking books specifically to fill those prompts. I'm just going to fill in what I can and then focus more on that in October and November. So that's it. Those are the books I am hoping to get to in September. Hopefully I'll get to more than that. Who knows? Probably not. Let's be realistic. But I'm hoping to find some good ones in here. So let me know down below what readathons you're participating in September, or if you're not participating in any, what maybe you're most looking forward to reading in the month. And thank you for watching.